So here we go.
Okay.
We're live. Dad joined the call. So welcome to our bonus edition. We have Richard, Danley, and Dad, and we're gonna just talk about whatever the heck you guys are gonna talk about. That's the plan.
Well, let's
Well,
rewind a little bit what we were
yeah, I was
talking
going to
about
say
before this.
rewind a little bit. What your listeners did not hear before, because we were doing this off air, as we were just relating, because I needed Bob because he can remember a lot of this and I couldn't. He verified the fact, by the way, Mark, during our interview, I was trying to remember where she came on, and I thought it was L.A., but Bob said he thought it was
Well, this was
Australia.
coming on the cruise ship, the
Coming on,
Rotterdam, the Holland American Line Rotterdam, which was an enormous ship, and it was
Right.
what, around the world cruise?
yeah, yeah. I literally started in New York, went to Fort Lauderdale, and then South America, and then Acapulco, blah blah blah, and California, and down to the
And you were on for the whole cruise, presumably,
whole cruise. Well, I was contracted by Peter Dushin organization to do the whole cruise.
and you
Uh,
were conducting the Peter Duchin Orchestra,
well, it was a
sort of.
five piece group, five musicians. So we had literally, I was on piano, of course. We had piano, bass, drums, uh, uh, piano, bass, drums. Didn't have actually a guitar, but we had a trumpet player, a sax player, and the trumpet player. Oh, I'm sorry, that was it. Five. One, two, three, four, five. Just two horn players and trumpet and sax player. That's what it was. And then piano, bass, and drum. But that was basically it. We played dance music. Um, but I got, and also, by the way, it's also, I didn't say this in the interview before, Mark, but Marnie Nixon, who many people will not know the name,
Yeah, I don't know that one.
but if you've ever seen the movies of West Side Story, The King and I, and My Fair Lady,
Yeah.
big award-winning movies,
Yeah, you
right?
couldn't grow up in our household without having to watch that a bunch of times. So.
Well, if you heard the ladies singing for Natalie Wood or for
Uh-huh.
Deborah Carr, that was not those singers. Those were not the actresses singing. Audrey Hepburn did not sing in My Fair Lady. But Marnie Nixon is a singer who is known as the ghost singer for those movies. That was her voice
So
singing.
you'd had Audrey Hepburn, making like she was singing, and then they just dub in the other person's voice instead.
That's what Marnie Nixon was famous for. And Marnie
Okay.
was on that same cruise ship. I can't remember exactly where Marnie got on, but it was somewhere around the time that Christina was on there.
Well, and a lot of
Uh,
actors have ghost singers, don't they?
yeah, they do. Or at least the old days they did.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is that Marnie and I became good friends. And after the cruise ship, not only was that cruise ship was great for me from a networking standpoint, because not only did I meet Christina and we worked together after that, Marnie, who is world famous for doing things like that, I got to work with Marnie in shows and playing for her voice lessons and things like this. And Marnie was just so delightful. She just passed away a couple of years ago. And her husband was a sax player. We got to be very good friends. And that was another benefit of that cruise ship, which was
I believe you were saying it was about 28 years ago.
1993.
Wow.
Wow. And then
Precisely. This
then
is January.
to rewind, we mentioned that my late wife had auditioned for the Sydney Opera House, and then hopped on the ship at that point and went for a couple of weeks,
Oh, so
stopping
mom
at
mom
various
got on
stops.
it. Mom got on in Sydney,
Yeah.
Yeah, and
which
that's where
is
she got you those
that
various Australian
that's where she
things,
got me my hat.
Australian
Yeah.
Outback
Yeah.
hat.
Oh, man. I loved
Have you
Australia.
have you ever, have you ever seen my hat, Richard? Let me go grab it real quick. I'll be right back.
Sure this, but
Mark's proud of his hat.
we
He's
were in
got a
Sydney.
leather
We went
Outback.
to Sydney and then we went to Perth after that. Uh,
Hmm.
but that opera house on the beach like that, that's an amazing sight. Oh my goodness. A couple of us, I can't remember if Christina was with me, but I went with a few people to the Sydney Opera House to visit inside, and it was,
Hmm.
I can tell it's Australia.
It's a little bit small for me now, but yeah, mom brought this hat back from Australia,
Well,
and
it's
Yeah.
and
suede
this
leather, isn't it?
yeah, this hat's been all over the world with me. I've taken it on adventures all over the place, to
You
all
probably
kinds of
hiked around the Rocky Mountains with it.
uh
Yeah.
yeah, a couple times. I had a different hat. So my first couple trips to film on, I had a different hat that I brought back from Greece, and
Yep.
that hat got just mauled in an ice storm, and it survived because it's a heavy leather hat. But I
Right.
don't know where it is off the top of my head. It's somewhere. We'll go hang the hat right over there.
But that
There.
was a great experience, and you're right that so Christine and I would work out these little medley things, and it paid off because after the cruise, and this is where Bob, I may need some help on. I was trying to think of some of the places we performed in New York. Uh,
What was that something cafe or Broadway something? What was it called?
oh yeah, yeah, that's the place. It was Broadway Museum Cafe.
That's it. Uh-huh.
I had forgotten in the last segment, Mark, about that. Totally forgot.
That's why we're doing the
Because
bonus segment.
we're very good. After the cruise ship, a friend of mine, Linda Burns, who actually is a dear friend of mine, she just had her birthday yesterday. Linda and I have done a lot of different cabaret acts, including something called the Singing Experience. But Linda, at the time, this was in '93 again, was also working as a booker at a place called the Broadway Museum Cafe, which was located inside. What is the name of it? They've changed names by now. I forget the name. It was beginning with a C.
Somewhere in Midtown. Yeah.
But I know exactly where. You know where the TKTS was? It was
Right.
right
Yeah,
across. It was
yeah.
that hotel right on that corner. Anyway, but they had
That's
a
where you used to
lounge
get your
upstairs.
cheap last minute tickets.
Right. But anyway, the this hotel had this lounge called the Broadway Museum Cafe, and Linda was the manager there, and so she hired me to work, I guess, 5 days a week, and we set it up like a sing along, and for open, actually sing along and open mic, so anybody could come and perform.
Do you remember
And
Essie Bowden singing "You Light My Fire"?
oh yeah, well actually, Essie and I just talked yesterday. Uh,
And in fact, she just completed an album in the last few months with you, I think.
Yep, she sure did. But Essie is still cooking. She's about 87, 88 now, I think. But anyway, but Essie came to that, and Christina, your mom, Mark, came to that too. I had all my friends, all my singer friends would come in, and it was great because it gave everybody, but gave Christina, and so we would do our duet things, So when Christina would come by, and then
And the
and I
restaurant
still
owner loved it because they're getting world class talent hanging out,
well,
just
and
having
we
a good
had good.
time.
And you know what? We did. Bob, you were there a few times, right?
Oh, yeah, lots of times.
Lots of times, exactly. We used to have pretty good crowds, quite a bit, because yeah, because I had so many friends that were singers, and they would come up. Like I say, Essie would come up, and then others, people that I would know, some of my students that were at school, they would come up and do a little thing. It gave them a chance to kind of do an open mic. So we had a really good time there, and do that, and that was and I totally forgot about that. I didn't mention that before.
This was New York at its best, where you had performers just, everything was just oozing out of the cracks in New York in terms of performing.
Well, the nice thing about that room, it was a very classy room because on the wall, maybe you remember this, on the wall they had all these big posters of Broadway shows and things like this. They really set it up like a Broadway room. So that means we did a lot of Broadway show tunes. So my singer
And
friends would
and
come
it
in.
wasn't very big. It wasn't a very big venue, was it? It was just a
It was okay, but it wasn't like Don't Tell Mama. Some of the other cabaret rooms are kind of seedy, if you know what I mean.
right.
They're
This one was classy.
Now, did
this
it have a proper stage? Because I never went there.
no,
Okay.
there was no stage at all. But the piano was right kind of in the back corner,
Okay.
and so the only place that the singers could sing would be right in front of the piano. But I had the mic set up and all that. We had a couple mics, and then the tables were kind of scattered in front and to the side and all that kind of thing. So it wasn't an actual stage. It was just a room, but we set it up so that it would make it easier for people could actually get up and sing.
Right.
That
Right.
was a that was a lovely time.
I went to a New Year's party once that was kind of like that, where they had I think it was Tom Spawn that was doing something. It might have been you, but it was New Year's Eve. It was after Mom died, and a bunch of like Broadway or off Broadway people were just having sort of an open mic New Year's party where people just get up and take turns singing and performing. And it was just a restaurant, and I think it was like
Well, I mean,
Italian food or something.
yeah, it may not have been me, but we certainly
I
even
think
did.
I want to say it was Tom that was doing it. I don't think you were there.
I mean, there are actually some great rooms like that, even to this day. I mean, if they were open, places like Don't Tell Mama and down there in Chelsea. There's another couple, and so it's popular. But the thing I think we all enjoyed about the Broadway Museum Cafe, it was a little different setup. It was you didn't go in jeans necessarily. It was kind of classy, like
Right.
Bob said, and it was really set up that way, and it was really a great time. So
If I were
Well,
to ever start up another business, which I already have too many as it is, but I'd love to do sort of a musical hangout place like that. But if I do that here in Oklahoma, it'd probably be all rock and country, which is okay too. But I'd love to have a Broadway show
yeah.
tunes bar.
Well, and yeah, and Nashville, which I did a lot of work there in Nashville when I was going to school. Again, most of it would be country, depending on
Yeah.
your region. That's true. That's
Now,
very
do you
true.
do country or do you? I don't think I've ever heard you do country.
Well, yes and no. I did go to college in Nashville. While I was there, I did play a little bit of everything. I did my, we did it. We had jazz bands, we had all that stuff, but I also played in a country group from time to time, and so and even wrote two country songs.
Okay.
So I've actually written a few country songs over the years, and I wrote one while I was in college there. So and I used to have a trio of my college buddies, and we used to sing that song and other songs like that. So, but I played for a gospel group at one point. The lead singer in that gospel group was a man named Nick Boone, and if the name sounds familiar, he was Pat Boone's brother.
Okay.
Now, Pat Boone, I also worked with as a freshman in college.
Well,
In
you worked
fact,
with about everybody.
do you even know who Pat Boone? Mark?
I've heard the name.
Well, he's actually still up and around. He does commercials now.
Really?
Pat Boone, and he's still going. But Pat Boone was a big star back in the 50s and 60s, and he was from Nashville.
Okay.
As it turns out, when I was a freshman, one of my college teachers actually was a good friend of his, and actually asked me to play for him for a wedding tape, record some wedding songs, and then we did that. So I got his autograph. In fact, what's so funny is that I was watching TV a little while ago, and there's the cable, not cable, but TV. So there's a Decades channel. And it's like
Right.
all these old shows. They had the Ed Sullivan Show on. And wouldn't you know who was on it tonight? Pat Boone was on it tonight. Back, and it was filmed in the
when
60s,
he was younger.
around the time that I met him. Actually, it was around that
Okay.
same time. And so, but he was delightful. And I played for him 3 years later. But anyway, I worked with both he and his brother when I lived in Nashville. And so, yes, I did some country songs from time to time.
Okay.
Richard, your favorite composition for me is "The Look of a Woman." That's
he
just
play-
the most magical song.
We played that earlier. We're having a little bit of trouble because Richard's mic was kind of cutting in and out, so it sounded a little bit staticky. But yeah, no, we got a recording of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did
wonderful,
that.
wonderful song.
Yeah, we did that. We talked about that. And of course, obviously, the reason we talked about it, and I actually brought it up, is because Christina on the video is the one introducing me on that. And which is
That was a cute segment between the two of you.
Yeah.
yeah, and well, but then for that, and you remember what she said on the video? And she's right, because I used to play that song on the ship every day, pretty
Mhm.
much,
Yeah.
because it was kind of we talked about how our band played dance music, and Mark, as you heard the song, it's kind of that nice little almost Latin. It's an easy type of song to dance to, which is one of the reasons. It wasn't just because it was a song I wrote, but it was a song that actually is really good for moderate dancing.
Yeah.
And
Something that old people can dance to.
And they did. And I used to have some of the passengers would actually come up to me and ask me about the song. And I would say sheepishly, yeah, I wrote that. And they said, you did?
Gentlemen, it's getting past my bedtime.
Yes.
I've got to get up early in the morning. Anything else as we wind up?
That we can wind
Or
up.
I'll hop off?
Yeah, we can wind up. Yeah, no, I'm just happy that we so I've got a format now for doing multi-person, more than just one other person, and so I
We'll
think
just have to do this again.
yeah, no, we'll definitely do it again, and I can have with the way that I have it formatted, I can have up to 4 people. We probably could do it with more people, and maybe the pictures will just get smaller.
They
But
do, yeah.
I'm not an expert on Zoom. The only reason I even got into Zoom is because I wanted to record conversations with Dad, and Zoom is what Dad uses to do his Boy Scout stuff and things like that. And it's a lot easier for me to adapt to his technology than to get him to adapt to something else. And
Right.
so I'm sort of learning Zoom, and when I'm formatting it, I've got my OBS Streamlabs over there on that monitor that way, and it I just sort of have to pre-position everything. But yeah, no, let's. I think what we need to do is let's start doing hangouts, and we'll just get some people, because we get interesting people, and and just start. I have a feeling we'll probably end up doing a lot more music stuff than anything else, because most of the interesting people I know are musicians.
Ah,
But
That'd be
uh,
great.
I
but
like that.
yeah, so we can, yeah, let's do this again. Let's try and get some interesting people together, and maybe uh, we'll have to figure out a good time. Probably not weekends because Richard's busy on weekends.
Yeah,
But
that's hard for me. It's
but
12
maybe
hours.
maybe I'll set up a time to do something like this once or twice a week on a regular schedule, and then we'll just do invites to whoever wants to come hang out, and we'll talk about stuff.
Well, thank you so much, Mark and Bob. Thanks for joining us here at the end.
Pleasure seeing you.
I hadn't seen you in a while, but this is the way to do it.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
it's what's the best we got right now. So, all right, well, this is episode 4.5, the bonus edition to talking with Richard Danley, and thanks a lot. We'll have you back, and I'm going to try and help Richard get some videos up on the internet because he's a wonderful musician, and
Thank you very much.
well, thank you for doing all this, and Dad, thanks for dropping by, and good night, everybody, because it's late.
Yes, it
Have a good night.
is.
All
Good
right,
night, everybody.
good night.